We are live on YouTube and we're going live on Periscope, and this is regarding Office 365 with Daniel Glenn and Daryl as a service. Daniel,
Hello.
you came back. You came back to help me out after your fishing trip.
That's right.
So did you see my slaughter of the earlier broadcast?
I kind of saw a little bit. I had about 1 bar of connectivity on my phone, and so I jumped on just to kind of say good luck, and I didn't hear any audio, but I thought it was my phone, not having a connection, a strong connection or whatever. But hey, here we are. I made it back.
Yep.
In one piece. I did not drown.
Good.
And
did you catch anything?
A little more tanner. Well, see, a good fishing trip, you don't really have to catch anything to have a good time.
Uh-huh.
That's the way I'm gonna put it. So
I like that.
It's all right.
It's true. It's about the social experience and sitting and talking and having a good time that way. And if fish just happen to jump on the hook, then that's good.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's with all the rain, it was weird because they've actually lowered the water on the river and the lake that we were on. So the water was really low and just not having any luck. But that's okay. Had a good time. So I'm glad I'm back to join.
So was that actually nearby the flooding areas? Is that what you mean?
So the hurricane that came through the U.S., came through the Gulf, hit land in Texas, and flooded, did a tremendous amount of flooding there. And then the storm actually came back up through and took a right turn, went east, and did come right over top of Middle Tennessee. So that's okay. It dropped. We had 5 inches of rain in, I guess it was a little over 24 hours. I think it was. Maybe it was a little less than 5. They were calling between 3 to 5. So that much rain all at once is, it's typically a bad thing. So it's much less than they got in Texas, of course. But so anyway, a little bit of flooding.
It affects the fishing though too, doesn't it? That was the point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring it back on down. That's right.
Yeah, bringing it back to the Msg Center. We've had the weather broadcast or in hindsight broadcast. So yeah, onto the Msg Center. For those who watched me mime it earlier, let's try and share my screen so you can see it. So we have a few messages. We do have one that's new for this week, but we did address one of them as kind of an overlap. We're talking about GigJam Preview, and that's on its way out. And what I tried to mention earlier was I guess that discussion around what GigJam was about. I have it somewhere up here. Here we go. So GigJam. Okay, just a quick salute to say, good effort, and it's a pity it didn't work out. But the space that it fit was when people had to be together online at the same time. They'd share a document or content from many different platforms, and it had the ability to redact or share very specific pieces of information. Dan, did you get a chance to try out GigJam at all, or were you just going off the demos that you'd seen?
Yeah, no, I saw the demos. As I mentioned last week, it was broadcast. It was part of many of keynotes of here's great technology, and I think Ignite last year maybe it was big, but and so the demos were cool, and like I mentioned last week, I really never found a place for it to fit in. And I tried it, and it didn't flow for me very well. So that's why I didn't really find a place.
Yeah. So my take on it, and I guess just rounding this off so we can move on. But for those of us who use Skype for Business online, we fire up a shared desktop, or we share an app specifically. If we want to share content that's across different platforms, we'll open it up. And if we're working at the same time as someone, then obviously we can both see it. The only space it didn't cover was how to redact information and just show only what you wanted to see. So GigJam felt like it needed to be a feature of Skype for Business.
Yeah, it's a feature of something else rather than its own product. If it was, making it part of maybe Word, and like you just said, share Word, but if you want to redact things and that's the only thing you want to, then use it that way. Having it as a separate product just didn't really flow very well. So.
Well, yeah. There we go. I guess the question is, what are they going to show us this year in terms of products and the like? So we'll see. We'll see shortly.
That's right.
We have Android catching up with iOS in terms of the Outlook experience. Android users can now take advantage of the add-ins that are available. There aren't too many of them. I think there's about 8, 9 of them. And I activated 1 or 2 that I hadn't earlier. I activated Giphy a while back because, let's see if we can send some gifts to people in their email.
That's right.
Yeah. Just yeah. Anyway, we won't say too much about GIFs and memes. Sometimes it's a sore spot. But the other one that seemed to be quite useful was Microsoft Translator. So if you're working in a space where you may receive emails with content or communications that are not in your native language, then it goes ahead and changes that for you and helps to bring it to your language.
It's an interesting thing, though, because you can have that add-in, but you can also create a flow that does the exact same thing, right? That watches your email, translates it, and then pushes it back out to you. So it's interesting that, you can get at it several different ways. I'm not a fan of add-ins. I like that. I like bringing additional functionality in. I just have so much experience with crashes and it's typically because of add-ins and because of other things that are playing a part, not the actual base product. And so I'm just not a huge fan of add-ins in that regard because of it does cause issues a lot. And here recently for me, it's been I've added the add-in for I wish I could remember the name. Dictate, I think that's the name of it, for PowerPoint, to where it'll put the what you're saying up on the screen while you talk, and you can actually do it in different languages. So if you're presenting to an audience that's maybe for English as a second language, maybe they speak Spanish or Italian or something else, and you can have that language up on the PowerPoint while you talk. It's really slick functionality. It's also crashes PowerPoint every third time I try to use it. So it's one of those things where it's like it's a great add-in, but it just crashes. So I'm just not a big fan. All that to say, add-ins are I'd rather use other ways of doing it, like Flow or something else that would do that translation. But for that one example, but yeah,
and that's a good point. I mean, I've got a CRM-based add-in that we come to expect that when you go to send an email, you go new email, it's there, But with add-ins, it's like, hang on, wait on, we've got something that we need to load first.
One moment.
No, actually, I'm going to crash it. Sorry, this time.
Well, it's the same thing with PowerPoint, and I've had to. There was what is it? There's a certain company that makes screen recording software. It's pretty popular, and they have an add-in for PowerPoint, and I just finally had to disable it because it would crash it every other time. So it's just
add-ins.
Anyway.
Add-ins.
Yes, add-ins. What can you say?
Yeah,
I think we've said enough.
Yeah, exactly. When they develop well, they work well. Perhaps it's good to see Android catching up with the add-ins and equal opportunity, right, for platforms. Moving further up, we have updates to the Microsoft Learning Tools for Word and Immersive Reader. So this is where some of those developments have helped in the accessibility stage of things, helping people with dyslexia, dysgraphia. Not quite sure. Do you know? What would you guess dysgraphia is?
I'm not going to.
Maybe like trouble with recognizing shapes and text too close to each other, and yeah. Maybe. But anyway, so what I'm going to say, quick,
I'm just not going to guess.
Disclaimer. It's really great to see Microsoft putting so much effort into giving people the opportunity to also use their tools, and addressing visual impairments of sorts, or dyslexia or trouble with reading, to bring that to the wider audience that does have some struggles. So yeah, that's been brought to Word, and also they're trying to build some of these immersive tools and accessibility tools into the online experience too, because there are some schools, of course, that if they're using Chromebooks, their only experience of, let's say, Office 365 is via the Chrome browser, so you need to bring that into the online experience.
That's right. And all the schools around me are using Chromebooks, and it pains me, especially since they have been having so many issues. But I think that any of these tools now, we're going to see them coming online, if not first, very quickly after they're developed for the desktop application. I see, the Microsoft's thoughts. I could just see them sitting in a room and thinking, in 10, 15 years, no one's going to have Office on their machine. And I'm sure that would blow some people's minds, because they've made a lot of money with Office, right? But with the success of Office Online, all the tools being there, do you really need a client if they bring all that functionality? It's going to be interesting to see what that, how that progresses. Moving computing power to the cloud, even when it's just doing, creating large Word documents or Excel or whatever, moving that workload to the cloud. It's going to be interesting.
And that transitional stage is apps, isn't it? It's putting more of that power into the cloud. The app still deals with some of the processing and UI layer, but most of that's happening up in the cloud. So, The other point I wanted to say about this is I'm really proud to be even remotely associated with Microsoft, because of the work they're doing to help those that don't have the same abilities that we do, and as far as learning, interacting, those who can have visual impairments or hearing impairments. And the latest I saw, they're funding a project where these young ladies developed a way to, I think it's print a book in Braille, like immediately. It was like, I can't remember exactly the project, but it was so, just hitting a target of, we need people to be able to, receive. It's kind of like that Braille printer, without wasting all that paper and doing. Anyway, it's nice to see what's going on with, and in the space of bringing all of this technology and using this technology to enable those who may not see or be able to hear or cannot write, all these things, all those, being able to, function and not just function, but bring their unique abilities to the rest of the world. So happy. This is cool stuff. Yeah. Okay. So this message changed to the token lifetime default for Azure AD. This is going to make a few people happy if they wrap their heads around it and understand what it means. So if we are inactive on our accounts for apps or the like, the authentication token that we receive when we log into something will time out, and they're extending that to 90 days. So this should give you the experience that if you're logged into an application, let's just say Outlook or OneNote or PowerPoint, we do log into that application at the top right-hand corner to say, I am licensed for Pro Plus. After so many period of inactivity, we'll need to request another token to authenticate. And so this 90 days should mean that we get less prompts to log into Office 365. What's your experience?
Well, but does this also mean, and I don't know the answer, does this also mean that the checks for that license are going to be now 90 days rather than 30?
No, I think the licensing is still going to be the same. The licensing checks. This is purely, and I just brought that up as a authentication.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
I think it's good. Well, I use different logins but I'm using apps all the time. So OneNote is famous or infamous, how you look at it, for prompting to log in to sync, because I'll have OneNote open and it'll probably have anywhere from 3 to 5 different connections. So whether it's my 365, my personal OneDrive, someone else's OneDrive, I mean, it just has a lot of separate ones, and so every once in a while I'll get a prompt, and it's frequent enough to get on my nerves. So I welcome any changes to being able to reduce that from having to log into 365 for OneNote especially, but for any of the apps.
Yeah, and the other area where that comes up is when you're logged into Office and you have other accounts that are connected to that, maybe for different tenants. That is what gives you that seamless experience of I'm opening this document from my application. I don't have to go to the web browser. It's just going to reach out to the right tenant, authorize me. I've got the token, bring that document down. And, if we get prompted too many times for that, people start going, well, what is this cloud thing? This is really not easy. Just give me OneDrive to sync it and I'll work locally. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will improve that experience. Yeah. Moving up further along. So there is an update to Skype for Business usage reports around the conferencing. When people join an online meeting, everyone's all active and typity type and can you hear me now and all those sorts of things that we usually do. We get into the meeting. Sometimes people have to leave early, or maybe they just leave at the end of the meeting. But sometimes they stay in the meeting, even though they've turned off audio, video. They're not seeing a shared screen, but there's still that box open that says it's the IM. And so that's beforehand, it was shown you as an active participant in the usage reports for conferencing. Now they're taking that into account, and someone who has left the meeting but still has that window open and is in system terms part of the meeting, that usage will not be counted in the report. So just keeping an eye out for that change.
Yeah, and it's good for statistics. It's good for broadcast, and you're paying. It's good for all that. So I think it's good to update that, because I have done that where you say you close out and you come back and you're like, oh look, there I am. I'm still in a meeting by myself, but I'm still there. So that's not good for anyone. So it's good.
It's actually worse when you were the presenter. You have your screen shared, and you're quite tired, so you don't notice that little yellow thin line around the edge of your screen. You continue working, and there's still a few people that are connected into the meeting. You've started to answer an email. A little bit of embarrassment there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and that's why I recommend if you are a presenter, that if you are going to end the meeting, you use the ellipsis button. You go in and choose end meeting. That's right. It kicks everyone out. And it means that your screen's no longer shared. End of story. Last announcement for today before we take a quick look at the tech community and some of the blog posts. OneNote Online, bringing it up to parity too with the desktop experience. They're continuing to do that. You might notice that the Windows 10 OneNote app, this is our universal Windows app, is quite a different experience to the Office Pro Plus OneNote. They are putting a lot more work into that app and trying to bring it up to parity with Office Pro Plus. And actually, I'm going to pause there. You're knowingly, noddingly going, what's your thoughts on there, Dan?
I don't know.
Don't ask me, Daryl.
Well, a certain person, I hope he doesn't watch, William, I hope he doesn't watch this, but I ditched using the Windows 10 app a while back, and I just haven't come back to it. They've really wanted us to use it, just pushing. For reasons I understand the reasons, and I'm not sure we can share reasons, but I understand reasons. But for me, it just was not up to that parity, and it didn't have that comfortable, and it was just like, why is this over there, and I can't move it, and it didn't fit me. I was used to, call me old-fashioned, with my sharing my notes. But I like the OneNote 2016 app, application. The Windows 10 app was not for me. And so I like this. Every once in a while I'll use it because use the online version, because I'll click a link and it'll open it up in the browser, and that's great. And it's good to see that. Being able to add it to a team in Microsoft Teams and seeing it, that's great. It's just that my everyday workhorse of keeping my notes and capturing my information is in the OneNote 2016. It's not in the Windows app. So I'm probably going to have to change eventually, but
maybe. Yeah, it's a transitional stage. They're putting a lot of emphasis in developing for it. There's, like you say, there's still things that I miss, so I still work out of both. If I'm in a meeting, online meeting, and I say I want to take some notes because the presenter hasn't shared notes or whatever, so I want to get that beautiful experience of linking those notes to the meeting, seeing all the participants there, any invitation messages, so it's all there and it's together. And you can add meeting notes from the current OneNote app, but you can't quite get the same linking going on. Emailing a page, so when you email a page from Windows 10 OneNote, it has to use the Mail app in Windows 10, which right. If you haven't got it configured, then it's not going to use Outlook, which is kind of what I'd want. So transitional stage, watch the space. But the point is that with this announcement, that OneNote Online is becoming more like the Windows 10 app. So it's going to have a very similar look and feel to the UI, and also bringing in the assistive technologies as well. Yeah,
no, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Now, I thought we'd dive into the tech community just briefly too, to have a look at and just highlight another area where you can use to keep up to date, apart from conversations. Have you seen the development, the increase of all these different blogs now that we have? Is there anyone there or some that you read occasionally, Dan?
Yes, I have actually been keeping up to date with the SharePoint blog. That's kind of, I do look there. I like looking here to see the overall look, of getting what is the latest on what are these. So right now we're looking at the latest Outlook blog post, the Microsoft Forms blog, and then I guess the second recent Outlook blog. So it's nice to kind of get that snapshot. So coming here, has that benefit.
What would you tell people is the difference between going to blogs.office.com and the tech communities blogs?
I think the blogs.microsoft.com is more of the announcements kind of what I see as the, big overarching kind of announcements. These are, we've noticed this already when we're clicking the additional information links in the Message Center. It takes you to a tech community post, not to a blogs.microsoft.com. That's kind of where it takes you. So that's kind of where I see the difference there. I do think there's some room to improve. For blogs and more centralized of understanding what these mean. Why are there two different places, for things to show up? And there's also technologies that are missing in tech communities. And I think really, they need to do a better job at centralizing it, and
I think
getting everybody
they're
involved.
They're still building up that list of blogs. Even over the last couple of months, there've been more that have been added. The product groups are contributing there now in the tech community. I think I just went back to a dismissed announcement. I think this is the one that talks about managing the email following. So I believe that if we go in here and click additional information, it will take us through to, there we go, the tech community blog post. So, they get these things written up and they publish them in the tech community. And it's to also, this is Brian Levinson and his team's challenge, isn't it? To release the information at the same time as the ability to see that message in the tech community, in the Message Center. And when there's an announcement which is more, we saw this earlier, like a year or two back, you were seeing a lot of these features that were being turned on a day or two before the blog post that was, really like supposed to be top secret. And these things were appearing in people's tenants because they had to be in place before the announcement was made.
Right.
So our change alerts group in the tech community were going, oh, look at that. Hey, let's try that. Oh, it's been taken away again. Oh, what's going on here? So definitely a good place though to take a look. And
that's right.
One thing that I call out as the major difference is that the tech community will always get into a deeper and richer conversation in terms of technical questions. So if you get on down to some of the follow-on questions down on here, there's going to be quite a. Oh, okay. I picked on a discussion thread, which wasn't that extraordinary.
Nice.
But sometimes they do have a lot more discussion going on.
That's right. You should expect more discussion here than you would on blogs.microsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the Azure blogs as well. So, you can kind of get a bit head turned around when it comes to where to look and what. But if you've seen what we're trying to get across here is that when there's additional information in the Message Center, it'll come through to the relevant blog post or where there is additional information to read.
That's right.
The other thing that you might want to know about if you are attending Ignite or wanting to keep up to speed with Ignite is that they have created an Ignite blog. So Ignite is sold out. They announced when the schedule builder was available. They introduced the community reporters. So representing Regarding Office 365, Alistair Pugin and myself, community reporters. That's kind of cool. And there is a space for Ignite too, where they've livened up the each page for each session. So I think probably one thing I'll do as we close out is call out that when you log into My Ignite, let's see if I can do this now. My Ignite, Microsoft.com.
Yeah, if you could just say your password as you type in your password, that'd be great. Just
okay. Perhaps Daniel Glenn Translator can translate the dots to what my actual password is.
Oh, man.
I know. My conference, my schedule. So for each of these sessions that you might want to go to, let's go into Tuesday, find Share and Work Together. All right. So what they've done is they've linked the session to the Microsoft Tech community, and your first experience, if you haven't done this before, there will be a link underneath that invites you to connect your Ignite account to your Tech community account. And that means that you'll be able to reply directly underneath a session and be part of the discussion on the Ignite page, which then, actually I can find another good example. Let's go
You
back
can look
to
at one of
schedule.
mine.
Yeah, so you came across something too that was quite cool. You just
If you go
speaking on
back to my
Tuesday?
Monday one. Yeah.
Monday, right.
You need to add it to your schedule there, apparently. Oh, there it is. Compelling. Yep.
All right. So, there you go. There's a discussion going on there. This friendly speaker called Daniel Glenn is already engaging the audience. Something, if you notice there, Dan, they did initially allow those videos to be embedded and display on this page, and now they're not. But if you click through to the Tech community and the relative page, you will see it there. That's right.
Okay.
So we'll cruise on down here. You'll see Dan's
convenient
intro to his session and his discussion. Sweet.
Yeah. No, I like having it right there on the page. It hasn't gone sideways yet, but I do like having it there to show, hey, there's additional conversation going on with the session. It's not just this presentation that happens at the end of September. You can start talking to speakers now. You can talk to them during and after the conference as well. So I like this.
And encouraging people to do that, even if it is just to ask a question or show some support or whatever, because sometimes that content does help and makes it into the presentation, even if by commentary. Right. One that I'm running as a meetup, and I haven't talked to you about this yet. Going to talk to the rest of the team, but the keeping up with change in Office 365, which is kind of the whole point of this webcast topic. So I'm running that meetup and making that quite interactive. One of the others that's running a meetup said, "Oh, so how are you going to moderate this?" I'm like, you know what? I just assume that we're all adults and people are going to continue to talk through the questions and discuss the topics of discussion and engage. Just wondering, I won't hold you to this, though you are live and online. Would you be willing to turn up to that, Dan, and help me moderate? And I'll knock on the door of our other team members too. I'm
sorry, you're jumping around. I can't hear audio. Did you hit the mute button again? I must have.
Yeah. Sorry.
Of course. No, I'd love to. I think I love talking change, and so I'd love to be part of that. And cool. I'm sure the rest of the team would too.
Yeah.
All right. Putting them on the spot, so they're going to.
Yeah, let's put them on the spot. Yeah, that's right. So that's something to certainly look out for, and you'll earn a badge in the community as well. Let me have a look here. What does it look like?
Like if you click through, you'll get a badge on the Tech community.
Badge. That's the one. You get a special badge to say that you are an attendee. This funky one here. Cool. Yep. So that was the Office 365 Msg Center week beginning August 28th. Dismissing. Oh no, I'm still in dismiss messages. I don't want to activate them all, do I? That would not be a good thing. Dismiss all those.
We get to talk about Yammer databases next week.
Yeah,
giving everybody
I've
a
seen
sneak
that one
peek.
a few times. It's a little like there will be a blip in Skype for businesses.
Yeah,
small blip. That's the kind of message that you see there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
So thank you for joining me. I don't know what time it is in Central. I'm probably getting kind of late, but thanks for coming back and helping to broadcast an audible recount of the Msg Center.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, Dan.
It's a duo team.
Right. Okay.
See you.
Catch you later.
Bye.